The movie begins with two British fighter jets flying through the skies of Afghanistan. The jets are suddenly attacked with missiles by Afghan insurgents, making the pilots lose control over their aircrafts. They are forced to eject out and land on a desert ground, surrounded by hostile enemy forces. The male pilot swiftly assesses the situation and pulls out his gun to fight, but he is shot down by the insurgents. The other pilot, Sinclair, acts quickly and shoots down the furthest hostiles with great accuracy while missing several shots on the last one, who was the closest. Both out of ammo, the insurgent charges at her with a blade but is shot dead by the male pilot, who also dies from his wounds shortly after. She can't stay in this place since more enemy soldiers might come by, so she packs a bag and hastily leaves the site. Her communication radio is proving to be no help at all. Since she cannot contact her base for support, she has no choice but to blindly move forward in an unfamiliar Afghan desert. But her pursuers are hot on her heels. She can't outrun them as they have vehicles and she does not. She reaches an abandoned Russian bunker, which she could potentially use as her hiding place, but as soon as she steps forward to investigate the place, the enemies find her. She quickly takes cover and another round of bloody shootout begins. Even facing many insurgents by herself, she is holding out quite well, but the balance is broken off when an enemy insurgent pulls out a rocket launcher. Thankfully, with her quick reflexes, she manages to avoid the attack. The launcher misses Sinclair and hits the door of the bunker instead, which creates an opening small enough to let her pass through and enter the bunker. The heavy metal doors provide her protection as she shoots at her attackers through the narrow gap in the door, but she can't hold out for long, so she steels herself to climb down to the bottom of the underground bunker. With the faint light of a single glow stick, she steps on the creaky stairs and starts climbing down. While surveying the creepy bunker, she comes across a skeleton with some kind of recorder beside it. She pockets the recorder and leaves the room to explore further and possibly find another way out. Suddenly, she hears the sound of her pursuers who have come searching for her. She abandons the glow stick and sprints to the opposite direction to hide herself. Somehow, the insurgents manage to switch on all the lights on the floor, and it dispels the darkness that was helping Sinclair hide. With the lights on, the floor looks even more frightening, with bodies sealed inside large glass tubes with pipes connected to them. Sinclair has no time to be creeped out as she sneaks up behind one of the insurgents and begins her counterattack. A hail of bullets start flying in the room with no regard to their surroundings. Some of the glass tubes shatter, letting out a black mass that looks like a body, but the gunfight continues. Sinclair manages to escape through the sewers unnoticed, but before she is out of the bunker, she is found by another group of hostiles. She is almost captured when a horrific alien creature suddenly appears and starts attacking them. The thing that they had accidentally freed from the glass tubes turned out to be ugly and alive and extremely strong. She narrowly escapes with her life and ties the bunker doors with metal chains, but she is not sure if it is enough to contain such a creature. Faced with a greater and more frightening common enemy, the surviving hostile and Sinclair do not waste time fighting each other and flee their separate ways. Injured and bleeding, Sinclair stumbles through the dark desert, not knowing where she is headed to. All of a sudden, a jeep comes in and crashes against her, knocking her off the ground. Thankfully, she wasn't hit too hard, and even more luckily, the jeep belonged to the American soldiers who were out searching for her. They take her to their small military base where she demands to see the person in charge. She needs to warn them about the terrifying creature that she saw inside that bunker, but to her frustration, no one takes her seriously. The major refuses to investigate the bunker, nor can he send her back to her homeland. Seeing her so desperate, Sergeant Hook volunteers to investigate, but he is quickly shot down by his superior. The major takes away the recorder Sinclair found in the bunker and dismisses her to get her wound checked out. Sergeant Hook follows her out to comfort her and talks about the soldiers of the base. Since this base is almost like an exiled land where the problematic soldiers are sent to, all of them have quite interesting stories. Feeling a little better, she goes to the medical tent where the doctor patches up her wound. There's also a captured Afghan insurgent inside the tent who she recognizes as the man who she saw the alien with before they both ran away in opposite directions. Sergeant Hook enters the tent with other soldiers to hear more of what Sinclair saw. They all find it unbelievable, but the captured insurgent, Kabir, backs up her story. There is a raw fear in his eyes because he understands that the creature is far more dangerous than they can imagine. Inside the bunker, those aliens have begun to smash their containers to escape one by one. The doors of the bunker are not enough to stop them. Back inside the base, the soldiers are reluctant to believe in Sinclair's story, but even still, most of them are feeling nervous and uneasy. Their fear is not meaningless as the aliens have escaped and started to attack. The soldiers swiftly get into their positions and start firing, but the aliens move very fast and have the nighttime advantage. The aliens' overwhelming strength is making the soldiers panic and many lose their lives, but some soldiers are managing to fight back. One of the aliens ends up crashing inside the Major's tent and is met with bullet after bullet. Finally, the Major pulls out his shotgun, but the alien is a lot more resilient than he thought. At the same time, another alien has attacked the medical tent with Sinclair and Kabir still inside. They are unarmed, but Sinclair is the main character, so it doesn't kill her outright. Instead, it holds and chokes Sinclair with its long, slimy tongue. But thankfully, Kabir comes to her rescue. He finds a blade and slices off its tongue, then jumps towards the alien, cutting and stabbing it continuously until it is dead. The two of them, along with a handful of remaining soldiers, gather together to take cover, but the Major isn't there with them. Hook takes another soldier with him to search for the Major. They find him inside his tent, fighting off an alien, and act quickly to distract the creature with a flashbang. This gives the Major enough time to grab a baseball bat and whacks the alien's head again and again. After the alien is dead, their party of 3 goes back to the other soldiers to regroup, and then all of them run to take cover inside a metal container used as the armory. But when opened, the container turned out to be the storage space of toiletries instead of ammunition. There is no soldier who isn't disappointed, but taking shelter takes the first priority. They fend off all the aliens that are chasing after them, and when guns aren't enough, Sinclair jumps on top of an alien to directly stab its weak point, its mouth. After a short but heavy struggle, the entire group manages to enter the container and lock the door shut. The aliens outside growl and scream, but for now, the soldiers are safe. Inside the container, the atmosphere is gloomy and tense because they can do nothing but hope that the aliens will be gone by tomorrow morning. After some threats by the agitated Sergeant Hook, Kabir begins to tell what he knows about the aliens. The elders in his village had seen a shooting star fall from the sky, and they believed that it was what caused Russia to fight against them. While the war had continued, a few people from his village disappeared every night, but the disappearances suddenly stopped when the Russians withdrew. In the next scene, it is finally morning, and the group of soldiers cautiously come out of the container. To their surprise, the base is empty and devoid of any corpses. But there are marks on the ground that indicate that the bodies were dragged towards the direction which the aliens came from. But it seems like there is one alien body still left at the base, so the soldiers decide to cut it open to examine. The alien is large, smelly, and very sensitive to sunlight, as its skin looks like it is melting off with the sun's rays. Its exterior is so tough that bullets can't penetrate the body. They had to use an electric saw to cut its body open because regular knives could not scratch it. During the examination, they make a shocking discovery. These are not aliens, but human beings who have been injected with alien DNA. With the truth out in the open, the Major comes forward to tell them all that he knows about the situation. An alien aircraft had landed in Afghanistan, but the Russians were the ones to find it, so they wanted to keep this discovery for themselves. For that, they invaded Afghanistan and kept everything under lock and key without leaking the news to the public. Since this is classified information, all the unqualified people who know about it might be killed by the superior officers to keep the secret from leaking out. While the Major is revealing everything he knows, the alien that was supposed to be dead shoots up and starts attacking. It focuses on Sinclair again and grabs her neck with its tongue, but she manages to shake it off. Amidst the chaos, the Major pulls the pin of a grenade and jumps on top of the alien. Before the soldiers can act, the grenade explodes and kills both the Major and the alien. Inspired by his sacrifice, the soldiers, along with Kabir, are determined to defeat the aliens and decide to counterattack. Armed with guns and knives that they know the aliens are resistant to, the group drives to the bunker. They plan to blow up the entire bunker to kill all the aliens once and for all. But this plan fails when Hook is grabbed by an alien and dragged underground. Through the radio, Hook calls Sinclair and tells her to leave him and blow up the bunker anyways, but she decides against it. She cannot leave a comrade to die. The rest of the group agrees to her sentiment and they all head down underground in order to save him. But there is another frightening news. There is a missile strike going to happen in the area in 20 minutes. The group are now racing against the clock as they venture towards the bottom of the bunker in search of Hook. As the group is searching for him, Hook himself is inside a room filled with dead bodies of the soldiers who were killed last night. He sees an ugly sight of an alien devouring a dead body and takes this opportunity to attack the alien. After he manages to take it down with a surprise attack, and by surprise I mean him biting the alien's tongue, he quickly takes a gun from a body and runs out of the room. At this time, the search party has reached the lab without encountering any aliens, but they see something more fearsome than those humanoid creatures in the lab. Like a true alien from outside the Earth, there is a black creature inside a container, and it seems much larger than any other aliens they have seen before. In another place, Hook is finding his way through the maze of the bunker to reunite with his group when he is found by an alien. Unable to kill it with his gun, he runs to the lab and ducks out of the way, letting his comrades shoot the creature to death. Outside of the bunker, a group of insurgents have surrounded the soldier who is keeping watch as the lone soldier defends against dozens of insurgents. Inside the bunker, there is a sudden flood of aliens coming out of hiding. As the group goes to escape, they end up being separated, and by the time they reach the elevator, there are only 3 of them who are together. Their bullets run out quickly and they are left to fight with baseball bats and knives. The soldiers fight to the best of their abilities, but the aliens are strong and outnumber them. One by one, the soldiers are unable to keep up until Hook and Sinclair are the only ones who come out of the bunker alive. They have no time left to dawdle as the missile-carrying aircraft is within sight. They sprint to the nearest car and drive out of the place at full speed. The countdown ends, and the funny-looking CGI missile touches the ground and destroys the bunker with a large blast. Sinclair watches the aftermath of the blast, finally taking a breath of relief as no aliens could survive something of that scale. Reinforcements have arrived and they can go home at last. If only their car didn't stop working so suddenly. The movie ends with the group bickering inside the broken car. And that's a wrap for this movie recap. Thanks for watching.